I never believed in UFOs until that night. I know how that sounds, like something out of a cheesy sci fi movie, but I promise every word I'm about to tell you is real. It all started on a cold autumn evening, just as the sun was slipping behind the hills and the sky turned a deep indigo. I was driving home from a long day at work, the kind of day that leaves your head buzzing and your body aching. The highway was empty, not a single car in sight, and the silence outside my car made the world feel unnervingly vast. I was tired, sure, but there was something else too. A strange feeling I can't quite explain, like the air itself was holding its breath. At first, I thought it was nothing, just my imagination running wild after a stressful day. Then, I saw it. A sudden flash of light in the sky, brighter than any street lamp, brighter than the headlights of a truck. I squinted, trying to figure out what it was. My first thought was a helicopter, but the sound never came. No rotor noise, no hum, nothing. And the movement. It wasn't moving like any aircraft I'd ever seen. It hovered, just hovered, in absolute silence. My pulse quickened, and I slowed my car, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles went white. The object grew larger in my view, and I realized it wasn't a helicopter. It was triangular, with three sharp points glowing faintly with an eerie, almost liquid light. The edges pulsed softly, like a heartbeat I could feel in my chest. I could hardly breathe. I wanted to look away, to convince myself I was hallucinating, but my eyes were glued to it. It descended slightly, just above the treetops lining the highway. Shadows stretched across the asphalt, shadows that didn't belong to any trees. I was frozen, unsure whether to run or stay, my body completely paralyzed by fear and awe. Then it moved, slowly at first, almost cautiously, like it was aware I was watching. I could see faint patterns of light along its surface, geometric shapes that seemed impossibly precise. My mind tried to rationalize what I was seeing. Maybe it's a military drone, I whispered to myself, but no military drone moves like that. No drone that large and silent exists. My rational brain failed me, leaving only the raw, unfiltered terror of witnessing something completely unknown. Minutes passed, or maybe it was seconds. Time felt warped. Then, without warning, it shot straight up into the sky at a speed that my stomach lurched, leaving behind a faint trail of light. Just like that, it was gone. No sound, no trace, only the lingering feeling that the world I thought I knew had just expanded in ways I could never comprehend. I sat in my car for a long time, hands still trembling, staring at the empty sky, trying to convince myself it had been a trick of the headlights or a reflection on my windshield. But deep down, I knew I had seen something extraordinary, something impossible. I didn't tell anyone at first. Who would believe me? Friends would laugh, family would worry, and my coworkers would think I was crazy. But I couldn't shake the image from my mind. The precise, glowing triangle, the way it hovered, the impossible speed at which it disappeared. For days, I walked around in a daze, replaying every second, every detail, questioning my own sanity. Then it happened again. About 2 weeks later, I was sitting in my backyard trying to decompress after another long day. It was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you hyper aware of every rustle in the trees. I was sipping my coffee when a glint of metal caught my eye behind the fence. I froze. Slowly, a metallic object descended silently into view, hovering just above the grass. It wasn't very large, about the size of a small car, but it radiated a presence that made my skin crawl. Lights along its edges pulsed rhythmically, alternating green and white. My coffee slipped from my fingers, shattering on the ground, but I couldn't move. I was transfixed. Through a faint, transparent window, I thought I saw small humanoid figures moving inside. They weren't threatening, they didn't seem hostile, but I felt their awareness. It was as if they knew I was there, studying me, observing my every reaction. I wanted to run, to scream, to hide, but I couldn't. Time stretched unnaturally, every second loaded with tension. Then, without warning, the object rose slowly, hovered for a moment as if acknowledging my presence, and then shot upward into the sky, vanishing beyond the clouds. My legs gave out and I sank to the grass, shaking. I stayed there for what felt like hours, staring at the empty sky, my mind racing. Over the next few months, these encounters became more frequent. Sometimes I would see lights dancing in the forest near my house. Sometimes strange objects appeared in the desert on trips I took to clear my mind. Each time, the experience left me breathless, awestruck, and terrified. I started documenting everything: sketches, notes, even audio recordings of the strange humming sounds that sometimes accompanied the sightings. Friends started to notice my obsession, and some distanced themselves, but I couldn't stop. Every sighting demanded attention, demanded acknowledgement. One night, while hiking alone in the forest, I had an encounter that changed everything. It was late afternoon, the sun casting long shadows between the trees. I heard a low hum, deep and resonant, like nothing I had ever heard before. My heart raced. I looked up, and there it was, a disc-shaped object hovering silently, reflecting the sunlight in liquid metal patterns. A beam of light enveloped me. I felt no fear, only an overwhelming calm, as if the craft was communicating without words, conveying understanding, observation, awareness. I wanted to move, to speak, but my body was frozen, suspended in that light. Then, as abruptly as it had come, the beam retracted and the craft shot straight up into the sky, vanishing in an instant. I stumbled through the forest, my mind railing, trying to process the impossibility of what I had just experienced. I have tried to live a normal life since then, but nothing feels the same. I look at the stars differently. I watch the sky for signs, for lights, for anything that might return. Sometimes late at night, I hear the humming in my dreams. I've considered telling authorities, but who would believe me? And yet I know I am not imagining these events. I know what I have seen, and I know I have been touched by something far beyond human understanding. Every encounter left me changed, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I have felt awe and terror in equal measure. I have wondered if these beings are studying us, testing us, or simply observing out of curiosity. I have questioned my sanity, my perceptions, my place in the universe. And still, every time I see a flash of light in the sky, I am compelled to watch, to wait, to bear witness. I don't know if I will ever understand the full truth. I don't know if I will ever see them again. But I know this: the universe is far stranger than I ever imagined, and I am just a tiny witness to its mysteries.